Hi everyone, it's Dr. Rebecca Barrett-Fox here. And in this video, I want to provide a brief introduction to peer-reviewed journal research, which is the backbone of academic publishing in most fields. Some fields are what we call book fields, others are journal fields, and some fields or academic disciplines use both. And in sociology, we do in fact use both. But for this course, we're going to really focus on using journal articles. So academic journals are journals usually themed around a discipline or a particular problem. So, for example, I do some have published in the Journal of Hate Studies, which is interdisciplinary from sociology, psychology, history, anthropology on the problem of hate. Other journal articles are articles that are, other journal topics are more narrowly focused on the discipline. So like the American Sociological Association's flagship journal, Sociology, American Sociology. And so these come out, some journals come out every month, some come out just once a year, and they capture what we hope is the best, most current academic thinking on a topic. What's key about academic journals is, unlike other kind of popular periodicals like a magazine, like Time Magazine or Newsweek, those articles and those periodicals are written by reporters or journalists who go out and find the story. Academic articles are written by the people who discovered the knowledge. So a chemist makes a new discovery in his lab, writes up his chemistry results, and publishes it in a chemistry journal. And in chemistry, it's never just one person. It's usually actually a bunch of people working together. In sociology, we oftentimes also work in teams. We do some of our work independently as well. In the sciences, it's more common to have multiple authors working on a project. So these are articles written by reporters. They're written by the people who actually came up with the knowledge themselves. And they're called peer review because they go through a process where other people who are experts in the field review them and decide if it's good work or not good work. Now, this isn't a perfect system, and sometimes lousy things slide through anyway. And on the other end, there are a lot of folks who argue that the system is too slow and that it inhibits too much good work. And so you can find critics on either end, but it's a system we have. And the idea is that when a journal receives a piece of writing, the editor looks at it and says immediately, does it fit our journal or not? And if it does fit your journal and on the terms of the topic, the editor then sends it out to other people who are experts in the field. If they give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, then it can get published. So when we look up peer-reviewed journals, that's what we're looking for. And notably, other kinds of periodicals don't have that peer review process. There might be an editor, or there will be an editor who reviews what the journalist has written, but there's not people who are content experts on the content of what's being written about. What this does for you is it provides you with some reassurance that what you're reading is high quality stuff. Our library is filled with digital copies as well as hard copies, but hardly anybody goes there for hard copies anymore, but digital copies of peer-reviewed research. You can search for them in research databases. If you know there's a topic you're really interested in, our databases are organized by topic. So you might think of these as like giant filing cabinets, and within each file drawer, there are a bunch of different databases that then break into smaller journals, and then you have the issues of the journals, and then you have the actual articles. So if you want to search for a database on, let's say, humanities and social science, we've got 65 databases just on that topic. That's really way too broad. So generally speaking, people don't use that search function. Instead, we go back to the library's main web page. I think I've worked with a lot of libraries. ACS is really quite good in terms of its finding aids. So you're going to go to this OneSearch. OneSearch can give you books, peer-reviewed journals, and that's, since we only want peer-reviewed journals for this project, click that and click full text online. Otherwise, you'll get some things that are just citations, which is handy, but realistically, you're probably not going to go to the library to look them up. Now, if you're doing a thesis project where you really want to exhaust the literature, read everything that's been written about it, then you would want to see the citations because you would want to find things that A-State doesn't have a copy of, and you could interlibrary loan it. But for our purposes, it's enough to hit just these two. Then if you know that there's an author who works on your topic, you can enter the author's name, but probably you'll enter just the keyword. So let's say you want to work on, for our class, the Waco, Texas Branch Davidian debacle from the 1990s, way down in Texas. You want to call that a disaster, you want to research it. So we're going to put in Waco. Well, you know what's going to happen, right? Way too many results. Yeah, almost 13,000 results. So we're going to narrow this down even more. Well, for one thing, we don't need to learn all about Waco, Texas, and its history and other things. Let's bring it back on up to early 1990s. That's close enough, good enough. Let's say we only want to look up academic journals. We don't want to read book reviews. We don't want to read government reports, magazines, or conference materials. All right, well, that just knocked out about 1,000 of them. Let's say we're going to say only English. Now, that might not be something you need to do. Maybe if you speak a foreign language and you're researching a disaster that happened outside of the U.S., you might choose a different language. That's probably good enough. Still too big, right? So we're going to go to advanced search. So we're going to add Waco, and we're going to keep choosing subject terms, unless you know that there's an author you want to work on. Let's add Texas, because that'll help. I might get rid of Waco's in other places. Let's go down to Branch Davidians. Now that's going to mean that we're talking now about this particular instance of the siege at Waco, and not just, like I said, the agricultural history of Waco or the environmental terrain of Waco, Texas, or the economy of it. So now we've got something a little bit more narrow. All right, still over 1,000 hits. Oh boy. This is taking us to 1973. I'm going to revise it again. Okay. Still over 1,000 things. Okay, now I say, wait a second. I don't really want to read things from the 1990s, right? These would have been published around the time that Waco happened. Let's say I'm just going to look at things from the last 4 years. You'll see we're not at 2019 because most journals haven't released a 2019 issue when I'm sharing this information with you. So we didn't get our dates refined enough. All right, now we've got 12 articles to read. This becomes a little bit more manageable. You do need to double check to make sure that they are peer reviewed, because even though the library says it's only showing you peer reviewed, you'll find out that that's not always the case. Texas Monthly, may be a magazine. I actually don't know. I'd have to go look it up. An encyclopedia is not going to be a peer reviewed journal article. Atlanta Journal-Constitution is actually the city's newspaper. Austin American Statesman is, again, the city's newspaper. Well, maybe we've gotten a little bit too narrow. Let's see if we can. Change our search terms a little bit. Well, people have not been publishing much on Waco, Texas. This is kind of disappointing. We'll keep goofing. A lot of encyclopedia articles. And newspaper articles. Ah, look what I didn't do. Okay. All right. Now we have things about Waco in the last 4 years. And I made sure I hit that peer reviewed button again. That makes more sense. That was a little worrisome. Once you find out what you find your list of articles that you want to look at. Let's say we want to look at this one, Massacre at Waco, Biker Violence and Police Overreaction, kind of criminology approach to the topic. You'll see a couple of different links here. PDF to the full text, PDF where you can save it to the cloud, and you can go back and look at the whole issue of the content, the table of contents from the whole issue of the American Journal of Criminal Justice this came from. When we click on it in full text, you're going to need to log in as a member of A-State. Now, if you ever get into a spot where you're being asked to pay for an article, don't. As an A-State student, you have the ability to get any article in the world for free. So never, ever, ever pay for one. You'll also notice when they ask you to pay for it, they're like 25, 35, sometimes $50. You don't need to ever pay for that. You can always interlibrary loan it. And boom, here it is. Whole thing's right here. Then you can save it to your Google Drive. You can print it. You can email it to yourself. You can set up a filing system within this system. So if you're doing a lot of library research, you can set up files there. You can export it. You create a hyperlink so that you can come back and find it later. All kinds of ways, right? So here is your journal article for you. Easy peasy. If you have questions about this process, you can always make an appointment. Even if you're an online student, you can have a phone conversation, or I think probably a Skype conversation with a research librarian. Research librarians love to help you find things. And generally, if you're not finding something, it's because you're making a mistake like I made, not clicking all the correct buttons or boxes like I did a couple minutes ago, or you just need some more search terms. That is it for this video. If you have questions about it, please do let me know.